Yeah. If you don't come, I'm gonna start singing, and maybe you won't like it. Where do you sit, Tatiana? You're on the wrong seat. Because there's a special seat for you. How can you be on the video if you see just your back?
You have many demands for me.
Okay, so now if I from Silicon
Trying to start a trend.
you know what I'm saying?
You want to grab a seat, everyone? We're going to start in a minute.
That allows you to listen to all of this music for free.
Okay, it looks like we've only got one panelist tonight. Tatiana's the star. Oh no, here we go.
Can we stop the video?
Sorry.
What are you doing now? Oh yeah.
Okay, everyone, if you wouldn't mind taking a seat now because we're going to start. Thank you. And Sheila, Jim, do you want to come up and Mike, John?
Coming to the game back in the 90s, where we had to basically sell take out our cars, our truck of the cars, being independent artists, sending posters, vinyls, different DJs across the world, getting on planes and actually having to go out and touch these people was the work that we had to put in order to be heard, get our music heard back and doing independently, not having a major at the time when we first started. Fast forward into today's generation, all those tools is brought to you on a computer through SoundClouds and different social media.
Would you mind coming on the front seat, you at the back, please? Yes, come on, don't be shy.
Move down the front a bit and then you get your questions.
No, you come closer.
Plus, you want to actually bathe in the star lights that are coming from the panelists.
We want to feel your sympathy.
We're all stars in our own show, so come on down the front.
Come on.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. I know it's summer and I know lots of people are travelling and having fun in other ways. But I think this is going to be a fabulous panel. It's one of my passions, blockchain music, and I actually took over ownership of the blockchain music meetup about a year ago because they were about to shut it down. So I took over organising that. So if you know anyone that's interested in it, tell them to sign up on that meetup. But tonight we've got star-studded cast, and I'm going to pass this over to the moderator who's going to use that microphone.
Thank you.
Phil Dirty.
I like this posture. Feel like. So, ladies and gentlemen, so I was a little bit preparing this panel, and I was just working on a few questions. I was starting common issues musicians face in the industry. Can blockchain helps? And was always answering no, 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 no. Of course, I didn't understand anything, so hopefully I've been checking what the panelists were doing in their life with the blockchain, and you see that it's a lot of yes, 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 and it's good. We have a lot of, so the topic is blockchain, music and media. So we called Leo, George, Brad. They didn't want to come, so we had no chance to have people from the film industry, but it's okay, we can speak about media and this type of things. I don't know why, but the mic is over, but I guess you can hear me. Ah, it's back, thank you. No, because I know you want to, Kevin, you want to hear me, right? It's good? Perfect. So, yeah, just a detail. I know that sometimes, well, myself, when I'm in a conference, I like to, I cannot stop myself. I want to raise the hand and ask for something. So there might be a chance after the panel to ask some questions. But if you have a question which is connected with the topic that we're talking about, don't hesitate, and we will interrupt and give a chance to have an open, kind of an open mic. Let's be open source. Okay, so let's introduce the panelists. So I'm trying to be a gentleman. I'm not British, but it's fine. So we will start with by gender and then the name. So be legit. I put like Brent. Okay. So with the last name, sorry. So you can be with a J. And so just to start, Tatiana, if you can. Introduce yourself and explaining what are you doing in the blockchain industry.
Sure. My name's Tatiana Moroz. I'm a singer-songwriter. I created the world's first artist cryptocurrency back in 2014. We founded a music platform called Token.fm. I also have a a crypto marketing and PR agency called Crypto Media Hub since 2015. And I have 2 podcasts called The Tatiana Show and Proof of Love, which is about relationships on the blockchain. And that's always fun. And of course, I'm recording my 4th album, so I'm still doing a lot of music.
And then Michelle.
Well, hello. I think I need a relationship on the blockchain. I'm Michelle Munson. I'm probably the geekiest person on this panel. It is my honor to be here with creative folks. I am CEO, founder of a very interesting technology startup called Alluvio. We're based in Berkeley. We're building a content fabric, which is a software overlay network designed to make the distribution of rich media much more efficient and natively personalizable, natively monetizable, and it does have an embedded blockchain ledger and its functionality. One of the things I wanted to share with you tonight is the realities and also the capabilities of the technology. My team right now, I just left, we're back to the office tonight. We're getting ready for our first production launch, which is really an OTT streaming service for video on top of the fabric. And there's a lot of interest from what we think of as premium content makers and really being able to, if you will, break open the opportunities for not only blockbuster kind of content, but also what you think of as more boutique content, and to gain, if you will, some leverage on the internet again, which is frankly now controlled by the large internet companies. And I think that's really an interesting point of disruption. So happy to talk to anybody tonight about some of the technology challenges and also opportunities.
Great. So I forgot to mention that Tatiana, you were flying from New York, and James, you were flying from Washington, D.C. How is it? Okay.
It's the swamp.
So please, James, introduce yourself. And the blockchain is your favorite topic, you told me.
Yeah, so I'm Jim Gatto. I'm a partner here at Chevron Moblin, and I head up our blockchain team. I have the honor and privilege of working with dozens of companies in the blockchain space doing all kinds of things in all different industries. We have a large team of people here with different industry backgrounds, different legal backgrounds, and I kind of somewhat of the ringleader and kind of play a hand in each of them to some extent. And it's just it's a lot of fun. Not a lot of lawyers can say they really have fun every day. I do. So I really enjoy it. I have a tech background, so I really been involved in kind of looking at technology for a long time, and I really think that this space, this technology has tremendous opportunity. There's some barriers right now that no doubt will be overcome, but I think that there's applicability of blockchain to many industries. And one of the things, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but just as a preview, and one of the things, we have a lot of companies come to us and say, we're going to do this blockchain solution. And my first question almost always is why? What's the problem you're solving? And a lot of them aren't solving the problem, they just want to use blockchain. and a lot of the things that they're trying to focus on, it's never going to succeed because they're not really solving a problem. And when you have that in a barrier adoption, it's a problem. But in this space, as we'll talk about tonight, there are some real problems that I think blockchain can solve.
Lovely. So Mike Jones, you're coming from Hollywood?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mike.
I'll talk about...
Well, just introduce yourself. You're a digital mind state, and so what are you doing? How are you spending your day and working on the blockchain?
Well, for starters, I'm really disappointed that the Toronto Raptors are the champions right now. Has nothing to do with blockchain, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. Our company is Digital Mindstate. Digital Mindstate, we're a creative agency. We work with a slew of brands, from celebrities to brands such as iHeartRadio, Radio One, T-Mobile, Samsung. I'm very active in the blockchain space, looking to disrupt the current music industry as it stands, specifically working with the big homie right next to me, Be Legit, in terms of seeking solutions for the hip hop industry utilizing blockchain technology. Church.
Nice. Mike, just one thing I wanted to tell you, the
Yes.
Raptors, it's mostly American.
Yes. Well,
So it's like America won.
Here's the thing about that. I mean, we're going to get offside. This is an ESPN combo, but I'll just say it this way. With Toronto winning, the NBA can legitimately say they have the world champions. Prior to that, it was all in the US of A. Now Toronto being the champion, we're outside of the America. How about that?
So Brent, aka Be Legit.
Yes, sir. Brant Jones, aka Be Legit, co-founder of Sickwood Records, independent label out of Vallejo, California. Did very well on the independent. Spent time on a major label, and you know, we kind of we're like one of the first rap groups, first rap family that did it from the ground up, out the trunk of our cars, and made our way into the industry, and kind of made like the majors respect, you know, what we had, because we actually had learned the game prior to getting a deal. So we came in different, not as a regular artist. Fast forward into now, we got this blockchain. I had this little saying that I used to say. I said before that I come from the 8-track. If you guys are young, probably don't know what an 8-track is. From an 8-track to the iPhone when it deals with music. So I done seen it come from the cassette, the CD, the vinyl, and now to blockchain. People don't, when you get cars nowadays, they don't have CD players or cassette players no more. You have to come to speed. So this blockchain in music is what I feel is coming to speed. And it gives me, because I was in control, and I've always have been in control of my music and my compositions and masters, it's putting it on steroids for me. It's like, it's broadened my horizon with this blockchain situation. So I'm excited about it, and you know, we're gonna get into it.
So Ryan, from South Bay, tell us about
Yes, sir.
what's your company, what you're doing.
Yeah, my name's Ryan Klaus. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Matter Music. We're a media platform built on top of a blockchain payment engine, where we're using the medium of music to drive traffic to our community marketplace. Our goal and mission is to empower the artists in the music space to have a deeper connection with the fans and be able to monetize and through commercial opportunities the relationship that they have with their fans' engagement around live streaming. We're using the blockchain, as Be Legit said, to empower first the independent artists with the initial release of our platform in beta coming out here in August, and I'm excited to contribute here with this panel tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I love this panel very much. So we'll come to you guys individually, maybe to as an introduction, to start with some the topic from the top. So I'd like to start speaking about the bad guys right away. If you heard about the blockchain used as a technology by the big guys, the labels or the studio, or can someone share about this what's going on in the market, really using the blockchain seriously? Whoever wants.
Anybody want to talk about it?
I guess I'm holding the microphone so I can go.
Yeah, you told me you have some strategic investors. Maybe I'm not supposed to say, but you know some of those guys. So
yeah, when it comes to working with the industry, the way we view it is that we need to be a value add to the music community. And music is such an inherently community-driven industry that it's about using technology to empower the creators, and that those creators need to be the people who are in a position to control their content and how it's distributed to their fans, because the relationship between the artists and fans is most important. When it comes to dealing with the bigger industry folks, we've had great conversations with them, and we feel that by enhancing the efficiency of the industry, that we could help change the way that they decide to do business. But that change isn't by no means guaranteed, and I believe it's just going to take time for them to realize that their business model will become more inefficient as blockchain becomes more prevalent within the music industry.
And regarding the technology provided, Michel, maybe you have some contact with those guys, so can you share a little bit?
Yeah, my comments will be a little more from the video side, not because I'm not equally motivated around bringing this to music, but because this is where some of the technology challenges around distribution are the strongest. I would say, dovetailing with Ryan, right?
Yes.
Ryan's comments, that there is deep interest from what we think of as major players. I want to caveat my comments by saying that, you know, today we see the really big guys like Facebook announcing Libra, for example, as their cryptocurrency. And so what I'm referring to are really premium content makers. And just to give you an idea, for example, Viacom, the new Fox, also Comcast, Universal, and Sky as a conglomerate, and then PBS, and then finally MGM Studios. I can say all of those entities have deep and current engagement interest around using, if you will, blockchain-based concepts, principles, et cetera, to advance their direct-to-consumer kinds of offerings. What is interesting, I think, right now is this recognition that there need be some change around two things. First of all, content creator, whether they're big or small, being able to get direct to their audience and maintain control over that, and also be able to rationalize what happens in terms of rights behind that, and then secondly, the viewer's experience. And right now, the internet content consumption is really around a advertising model that, for all intents and purposes, is pretty bad for viewers because of the data problem, and also for sponsors because of challenges with ROI, and premium content kind of sits in the middle of that. So that there is opportunity through new technologies which can protect privacy and even bring even zero knowledge, and then combined with that allow for really scalable monetization to get at those core problems. And I think we're really invested heavily in our work and engineering in Alluvio to try to make a system that'll scale enough to do this, right? And that's essentially what we do every day.
And James, are you having some customers you're talking to coming to Washington, or are you going to LA or New York?
Yeah, we have customers all over us. I think one of the things I would just add to what was said about some of the big players, and this kind of gets to one of the problems I was alluding to, is that the status quo is kind of broken when it comes to music. I think we kind of all would agree about that for different reasons, and I think some of it is a lot of the artists don't have the rights in their songs. Those have been kind of given away. And some of the industry incumbents don't have an incentive to change. And so I think that's another big problem. I mean, there are some players who see the advantage of this, but some of the folks that are kind of fat, dumb, and happy in the middle right now, they're going to fight this. So I think that in my mind, and one of the problems that relates to that, where I think blockchain kind of becomes a solution, is that there is a fragmentation of rights in music more so than probably any other area, because you have separate rights in composition and performance, and even then there can be different owners in parts of those rights. And we have various licensing schemes in the US, and the problem when you put all that together is that there's a lot of people collecting money. It's not very transparent. It doesn't always get back to the artist, and the percentage that gets back is small, even if it's properly reported. And so you have these issues and problems, and blockchain is I think a great solution for these problems. You look at the issue of fragmentation. I mean, if you create a digital registry of rights, right, this is not going to happen overnight, right? I think because of the incumbents, you're going to see the indies and others who have the ability to influence and make change. But over time, if there was a central database where you had rights and you had smart contracts that tracked music that was played and automatically calculated royalties, is a very simple solution. Getting there is not going to be simple because of the status quo of the industry, but the technology is so well adapted for this. And I think that when you look at kind of the why, when you put the technology apart, the two big things about blockchain, when you have a true decentralized public blockchain, right? And not all meet those characteristics, but you have two things that are very important: trust and transparency. And you don't have that right now. And blockchain for this industry will solve those two problems eventually.
So I think it's time to give the mic to the artist in the room, because I guess there are two reasons why maybe you started in the blockchain. I know, Tatiana, it was in 2014. Brent, I don't know, but I think you know, it was some time ago.
Yes.
So was that a reaction against the labels or your attraction for technology? What was the...
Well, I don't like technology and I don't like finance, so I honestly wonder sometimes what I'm doing in Bitcoin and crypto. But what I did have an interest in was something that was really prevalent in my life since I was a little girl. I listened to a lot of the 60s and 70s singer-songwriters, and I saw the impact that they could make in terms of messaging. And so that was really my motivation. You know, I got into Bitcoin because I had been on the political track doing political music, but then I saw that whole system was rigged, so I got out of that racket and I got into Bitcoin. And I thought that what Bitcoin really allowed for me was an ability to connect directly with my fans and not have my message censored. You'll look on the radio, you would think that all the artists just love war because you don't have a single anti-war song on the radio. And I think that to me is a little bit more, you know, yes, you can register work on the blockchain and you can bring efficiencies into the industry. But what interested me was the ability to get funded directly with my fans, create that relationship, and create an alternative way of getting my message out to people, and that not being dependent on becoming the most famous person in the world, because I'd rather have, you know, well, I'd rather have both. But 1,000 really devoted fans, I think you can have a much better impact, especially if you can build up that relationship in a genuine way. And then in turn, I can serve their needs, which is to sort of be a voice for the people that are maybe not so satisfied with the status quo.
Brent, you were like...
Yeah. So the biggest thing in the music business, you hear about artists like, you know, James Brown and all these people at the end of careers, they no money, the contracts was bad, whatever, got stolen, their rights, doesn't own their masters. But the blockchain is going to allow you to get all that power to you. It decentralizes one person being in control of your whole life. You know, now the controller is in your hand. Going through, and then using this, I like to look at it like a big freeway, you know, that everybody can get on, and we all kind of like watch each other back while we on there. It can't be cheated, and that's the whole thing. Is like there's a big trust issue in the music business. They like to point their finger, oh, my manager stole this, the label did this, or, you know, with this being in place, we don't have to worry about that. And I think that the bad guys, with the big guys on top, they know this. It's going to keep them honest and keep them playing in the right lane. So it's like a check and balance system, you know.
Mm.
So it's keeping them honest. So they keep everybody honest and keep you honest. So that's what I like about it.
Yes, I'm Mike.
Yes. I'll chime in. Number one, Golden State Warriors are not the champ right now. It's still on my mind. I was just like going through that. I said this before. Artists are always the first to show up for work, last to be paid. That's the fact. That's where we're at. Whether we talk about the Beach Boys, James Brown, to Lil Wayne, right, and what's going on over there, to Kanye West kind of hopefully getting his situation resolved, right? The artists are always first to show up, last to get paid. This has to be changed, right? And this is a paradigm shift that we're entering into, and blockchain hopefully is a solution to that. The transparency, the trust, value, those are key buzzwords that we have going on. But a big thing that I see in this is one, we speak on Facebook being an enabler. I think that's a big drive. That should be a big topic within this conversation, and what that explosion will ultimately look like. But even before that, the education, there's still the problem between, artists getting involved in this, but bills got to be paid, and how are they paying that? So I look at this, for Digital Mindset, we're creating what's called smart artists that are leveraging technology to further connect with fans and ultimately monetize. But we're still 1 foot in analog, 1 foot in digital. The analog is still the Hollywood of what it is that can ultimately pay your bills. And then there's this new venture that's like the Twilight Zone. I love it, it looks cool, it's sexy. Blockchain, what is it? Ask how many artists in Hollywood, country music, hip hop, and beyond that, do they know what it actually is? So there's still a lot that has to be put in place. Discovery and education is at the forefront.
Ryan, I have the feeling you're in the middle of it, so I would love to hear from you too.
To echo both their points, it's really about trust in the industry being put back to the artist. And where we see that is keeping it as simple as possible for each party to use. And the phrase that we use a lot at Matter is that code is law. When we talk about the idea of artists who have been unfairly treated, and we can go back in history and see that there were some malicious actors who stole money and misappropriated funds. But when you use a smart contract on like the Ethereum blockchain, you're basically able to distribute the pie on the first go around without having to use dense legal paperwork that Jim may be able to decipher, but I would struggle with. But if I make a handshake deal with someone and understand that me doing post-production work may get me 5% of whatever the song ends up grossing, what we're doing at Matter is making sure that revenue split always happens, and that goes to the artist into their account, despite how much it makes in the future or how little it makes. That you cannot renege on a deal that's been made in a blockchain because it's time-stamped and agreement's been made at that point.
And then you don't have to call nobody and ask, where's my check?
It's in your account.
Your money is in real time. It came in at 2 in the morning, it's right there on the blockchain. Just log in on your dashboard, it's right there.
And to that point, what we're doing that we're very passionate about is making sure that money, even if it's transferred through a digital currency, is at the end of the day able to be cashed out by the artist in cash. And it's important that any interaction people have with their fans that they're monetizing, that they're able to pay rent in it. Because if you look at what's going on Instagram, you have a lot of powerful engagement, but we can't pay rent with likes.
No.
Yeah, if I could just add kind of a practical point to that, I think there's always this confusion between the mechanics of smart contracts and blockchains. And blockchain ledgers and cryptocurrencies, and there's absolutely no need to have all of these good properties, the transparency, the immediate settlement, the fact that you cannot, if you will, the code of the smart contract is law well put, that needs to necessarily be coupled with a volatile cryptocurrency. No need whatsoever. And I think that's one of the things that has really tainted this area and made it more difficult in practice for people to really take advantage of. Doesn't mean the cryptocurrencies are not going to evolve and come along and stabilize. They absolutely will over the next 10 years, but right now they're not. And there's, I think the practical way to pursue this is make sure our systems that use smart contracts have a way to go direct to regular currency or fiat currency.
I agree with that. I would just add that there is a growing number of stable coins, which, and I don't know if we've talked about that before earlier on, and I think that's part of the solution. I mean, I think ultimately, I think what's kind of ironic about that is if cryptocurrencies get to the point where they are used in a more predictable way, and right now, most of the transaction volume is speculative, right? And that's why you have these price volatilities. And a lot of these coins are built for a platform that doesn't really exist yet. But once the platforms really exist, and once there's kind of more of a steady state between usage and demand, I think we'll see it happen. But I do agree that 5-10 years down the road, or who knows how long. But in the interim, these stable coins work. I think that the theory behind them work very well. Some will see, they have stress points, and some are probably designed better than others. But I do think that that's kind of a helpful solution in the short run if you want to use crypto. Because if you get paid with crypto and don't cash it out right away and the price drops, you've taken a hit. So I think that is a helpful part of the solution.
And the mechanics of smart contracts don't require any kind of particular payment. In fact, you could use any kind of digital payment service, including familiar things like PayPal.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking about the bad boys, I was doing my homework and I saw that the American Society for Composers, Authors and Publishers, the Society of Authors, Composers and Publishers of Music, and so on, they were working on some functional alternative, for the distribution of. Have you heard of it?
Is this in relation to the MMA?
It's in relation with the DLT for music industry with the Hyperledger Fabric.
I think the problem with that kind of stuff is not the technology, it's actually getting everybody to go along with it. So that's been, as an independent artist, what do I care, It's completely irrelevant to my day-to-day. For the industry, they care, they should care, that's their job. But I think that they've tried to make these kinds of ledgers and these systems before, and it hasn't been a tech barrier, it's just personalities and politics that prevent it from actually being implemented. Mm-hmm. I think it's necessary, that would be helpful, but I don't know why those guys running it. They've been running things into the ground for a while. I mean, not everybody's so thrilled with those agencies. So I wonder, do we need them as middlemen? I think that they are smart to try and, keep their piece of the pie, but is that interesting to the rest of the people? I don't know. Maybe we do need some sort of infrastructure created by the existing industry, but it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, you won't see any money coming to your plate, I guess, with those guys.
No.
Okay.
Unless you sell like millions and millions of records, which music is not really like, it's right here on your phone. You download it now. You can get it for free. You can go to YouTube, all these different outlets to get it. And we have to figure out a way to monetize it and bring it in, reel it in. Because like I said, like we talked about old groups like Cameo that have songs that people still download and play today, but they don't see a penny of it. And that has to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. So speaking about bad guys, I wanted to take the example of the French government making some plans. Obviously nothing worked, but I guess there's nothing to help in this country. You just, right? No? Okay, well. I just, I can't stop. I have to put something French in my,
I think Trump has a lot going on. When I look at the population, I saw that question, and I look at the population between U.S. and France. I think, outside the fact that, again, Golden State, they lost.
Yeah.
Trump has a lot going on, and the administrative body, I don't know where this ranks, honestly. There's a lot of other pressing issues, but, so I saw the question in terms of, should government step in?
Yeah, I think they try always to interfere and change the rule and make some plans, and nothing happens. But honestly, more seriously, I think that in this period of time, why a government exists is somehow to help, to modernize this whole thing,
You mean
so I'll say this.
things?
Yeah, monetize your things, yes, of course.
I'll say this, a different twist of the question. There's something that's going to be happening in October, Mobile World Congress, in which there's really the play in terms of where government falls in line with technology. So a town hall debate that's focused on cybersecurity, privacy, and technology. So when we talk about cybersecurity or actually data, right? That's a big play.
Yeah.
The digital U is more important or has more value than the physical U. But yet we have a lot of the top Fortune 100 companies selling this data. So there's a lot of things that government has to address in this new paradigm in terms of the election. What does the internet look like? Should the internet be policed? That we have to deal with. That's more pressing than blockchain falling in line within that.
Michelle.
I can't help but chime in. I agree with that 110%. I think what's really different now is that, well, first of all, blockchain has something to do with this because the security, whether it's obvious or not, the crypto that's in blockchain makes possible privacy protection and user data control we haven't had before, and there really is scalable zero knowledge stuff now that can really be implemented and really work. What is exciting to me, and I'm obviously not a big government person, I'm in this community because I'm very much a libertarian, go direct to people kind of person, but...
And you're in Berkeley.
Yeah, and I'm... that's right, but, and I'm from the Midwest, so I got that weird combination, but I think that what's really exciting right now is finally some of the more, let's say, thinking government folks are starting to wake up and say, wait a second, we do need to kind of engage here and think about what is the sort of social good that's really that the internet ought to be about, and raise some expectations of innovation and accountability for tech. Second thing I wanted to say around this is that, you know, this whole question about, you know, blockchain systems being controlled by certain companies, right? There's always this tension between getting stuff done, making it, and then who actually controls what they made. I believe in the practicality of getting stuff built, but there's no reason that these decentralized designs have to go down the toilet in the process of that. Blockchain really is decentralized like internet routing, and we should press for that. And you guys that want to use it, you should not use systems that can't stand up and say this has maintained a truly decentralized security model, even if a company made it, right, or a set of companies made it. So my little soapbox. Oh, and by the way, I also love the Golden State Warriors, and I'm about this fact, and I'll just say it one more time, but they're the greatest.
Anytime. Mike.
Toronto! To her point, and this is why I think it's kind of, we for everybody that's here, it's really important that we pay attention to what's going on with Facebook. So I look at, you know, I'm about 17 years in tech, so I look at what VR did, and it's all about, you know, there was the gold mine, and VR was a goal for 2 years ago. Everybody was talking about it, AR and all that good stuff. There's the enablers is what I'm getting to. And so when I look at that space, what role will Samsung play or Apple play? Apple plays a role in terms of AR, Samsung attempted to play its role with VR. Let's speed it up with blockchain. Facebook and what they're able to do, you know, this is probably the second largest population on Earth, with Mark as the president, and it allows for users to do B2C type business. So the fact that they're getting involved in blockchain, this becomes one of the enablers for those that do not know what the power of blockchain is. They're familiar with Facebook. And through that becomes an educator, much like Lil Wayne doing a commercial for hip hop, advertising some VR glasses. So I look at that, Facebook and other companies that are getting involved to be disruptors or forward companies that kind of mavericks that are setting the tone that get other people involved that further this ecosystem.
I want to apologize because I was coughing while you said Mark, but I can't leave the room, so it's just a joke with what happened with Trump. But you know what,
I was talking about Toronto Raptors.
No, I'm talking about the last very funny thing from the president. That's, you know, I stand here, I feel like
yes.
I could. Anyways, I wanted to say something. And now they bring Libra.
Yes.
Libra.
Exactly.
It's crazy. We live in a crazy period, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Just before to come to more, because we have here the chance to have people having experience, making some money. And one thing I liked, when I go to some event like that in the Bay Area, it's always about America and the Bay Area and somehow. So, where is it the more hot place nowadays? I'm very attentive, I'm very emotional, I told you. So, where is it hot, the blockchain, nowadays in this field? I mean,
where countries, where it's...
Yeah, countries, where you... Because I was checking some startup, I will come at the end of this panel, and I've seen a startup from Hong Kong, from everywhere.
Singapore, Asia, of course.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Japan.
It's global.
All right.
Yeah.
So we good?
It's everywhere.
We good. All right.
Well,
The thing though, I mean, if you're talking about music, US is the music market for the world. I mean, we're the defining cool people. So, I mean, not to be a jerk, because I respect other countries and stuff, but US music is the best, everybody knows. So if you can have your little thing in Singapore and there might be a gigantic market, but the one that I think really influences culture, which is what interests me as a musician, is to influence culture. You can't kind of skip the US, in my opinion.
No, I'm fine with that. I'm American now, so you can. With you guys. Mike, you want no? Yes.
Well, I think your question was, what are the other hotspots outside of America?
Yes.
That's why I threw out countries such as Singapore. So I just want to clarify.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and two, Tatiana, it's important. I think it's important to also realize that technologists from different countries can help build the infrastructure that we need in the U.S. for that music to spread.
Yeah,
China.
Oh, yeah.
Israel.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, it's like that's what we're empowering here, is that it's not just in the sense of the musicians that America, yes, has the best talent bed and influences the global music scene, but a lot of it is that technologists and younger technologists have the opportunity to empower and spread the technological abilities from working outside with U.S. companies, because it's never been easier than today to work with a fully outsourced team all around the world.
Hey, just on community, there's a really great thing happening. It's, again, this is on the geeky side, but it is unusual, over at UC Berkeley. There's an undergraduate-led community called Blockchain at Berkeley. And these folks, two things that are really special about it. First of all, it's not coming from the graduate program, it's the undergrads that form this. And then secondly, they really are the nexus of what is the sort of state-of-the-art in academic research in crypto around this field. And what's great about that, obviously it's international, they're kind of the magnet that brings together the rest of it, but what, and this will show you how old I am, similar thing happened when the internet was going through its initial surge in the 2000s, where UC Berkeley's distributed systems research was really at the heart of that, and so many startups and so much innovation that went a little bit against the grain kind of started that. So, and that included content distribution, which has led to this kind of media explosion that we see over the internet or gone together with it. So with that in mind, I think it's really exciting to see young people embracing this, and it also shows you where the internet's going to be.
Do we have an artist in the room? Raise your hand, probably, yeah. So I'd like to come to, because also one thing I like to have in the panel is to have a little bit, more kind of numbers to understand, yeah, of course, I need to ask. So we have here some artists making some money on the blockchain. Well, but it's zero. We just need to know. You have artists, they're interested to try to see how it is. So can you share your experience? Maybe not numbers, but...
I think it's very overstated. So I hate telling artists, come to Bitcoin, you're going to make millions of dollars. No, you're going to make like $30 in tips maybe over a year. And then, I mean, you're not going to gain a whole bunch of fans. But what you are going to gain is a sense of purpose and an ability to kind of fight back. So if that's important to you, if you feel like very disenfranchised and powerless in the music industry, which in my case very much motivated me, then I think crypto is a good direction to go in. Also, then you have first mover advantage. We did fund my third album completely with Tatiana Coin. I mean, great. But it was really hard for people to donate because we didn't, I mean, it was basically like an early ICO concept. Nobody knew how to do it. There wasn't some big upside where you make millions of dollars or anything. So, you know, there's definitely some limitations there. I think it's important to set expectations for artists so they don't then in turn go and tell their friends, man, this crypto thing sucks. I made no money. I had to learn all this boring stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think you saw the revolution versus the money that you're going to make, in my opinion.
So brand is blockchain MOB.
Yeah, MOB. Yes, it's definitely MOB.
I'm listening, man. I know.
Money over the BS. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, so I believe it's levels, you know, just like anything, you know, you're a beginning artist. You're not really expected to sell millions and millions. You want to build from the ground up. It'd be excellent for you to get into so you can learn the game. But a lot of people hear the word blockchain and like you said, they don't know what it is. They just, what is it? Explain it to me. And it's just like driving. You kind of like got to get into it to see what it's really about because you can make all kind of lefts and rights and build on top of what you already got going. But if you start at the bottom and learn it and educate yourself on it, I think it's the perfect idea for a new artist to do, you know, coming into it. And that way you got the ground root experience and you can build on top of that.
Mike, you were speaking about the love affair. The love affair with blockchain. Is it just love, or is it a bit of money, or you made a panel? You were talking to some conference. I was checking you guys.
You were checking it out?
Yes. So, but I don't think it was on a video, not like this event. So, can you share some experience that you had with artists?
Well, so we produce hip hop and blockchain, the new love affair, and really there's an attraction for what hip hop is based off of. And it's, you know, when you say, you know, we, unlike rock music or other genres, we were very embracing of the capitalistic ideas, material possessions and what have you. And so now as you further it, it's a competitive sport. And so you look at each artist in this field are, how can I one-up myself versus the other? So I spoke on Lil Wayne doing his deal with Samsung. Well, that was a big deal. Then you have Jay-Z doing his deal. Then you have the next artist, maybe his name is Chance the Rapper, and he's breaking records in terms of music streaming. So in that competitiveness of its embracement of technology, which has always been based off from the days of the beeper, the two-way pager, to where we are today, it is the new love affair. How can I further my brand using the latest and greatest of technology? And that can range from 5G, that can range from artificial intelligence. We're now, for this purpose of discussion, talking about blockchain technology. And so that love affair is the fact of how can I use that to further connect with my fans, further one up against my competitors. If I'm the first to do it, Eminem was probably one of the few or first artists at Coachella to embrace the AR game. So now he now becomes a staple in that other artists now want to follow. He does that, now I got to do something. Bila getting involved with blockchain, the next artist is trying to figure out how to get to the moon. That's the competitiveness of what the sport is. And so unlike other music genres, you know, and Bila could really chime in, it's very much a sport. It's a competitive sport, make no mistake about that, because there's not battle rock music or battle country music, but there's definitely battle hip hop. And so that's why it's a sport.
James wanted to, and then Ryan, I want to hear you about the fan base, of course. James.
So I just wanted to pick up on a couple of things that were said here. I think, you know, we've talked a lot about the distribution of music and kind of that part of the industry. There's two other things I think that are very important, not just for music, but also for on the movie side as well. And Tatiana mentioned it, is that in connection with connecting artists and their fans and the community, there's a couple of things that blockchain can do in that regard beyond just providing a different distribution mechanism, payment mechanism. And one is the ability to invest. So the ability for indies to have fans support them through putting money up, through whether it's through tokens or traditional, whatever. Tokens are a good way to do it. You could set up smart contracts where they get paid down the road. So they're doing it because they want to support the artists they love, and it's helping them as well. They can make money out of it as well. So, And we're seeing that as a company we do work down in LA called Movie Coin. They're doing the same thing. They're doing movie financing through it. And so you're going to see a lot of this type of financing being done through crypto and then paying out through smart contracts and other stuff. I think that's one thing. But the other thing that's interesting, you asked a question about money, who's making money. It's not enough yet, right? It's still early. But there's another way, I think, that blockchain can be used to really help artists make money that we haven't touched on yet. And that is this. Music right now, it's hard selling music because of all the streaming services, and you can largely get it for free. So a lot of the industry is going to other forms of monetization, and the live events and the fan events and things like that. But we all know that who's making the money when you have concerts, right? You put a ticket out for $100 and the scalpers get it for 500, and StubHub gets their fees, and that part of the system is broken because there's more money being made by people outside of the industry than those in the industry. Again, you have digital tickets resold through smart contracts. You can have parameters stored in or programmed into the smart contract where a percentage of any upsale goes back to the artist or other rights holders, right? Not hard to implement. And that is something that can be done now. I mean, fixing the rest of the problems, because you can't go back and fix the problems of people who have lost their rights already. It's going to be a slow go and a kind of a groundswell of new artists and people who retain their rights to really make the first part of what we've been talking about change through blockchain. But other aspects, this like venues and that can change now, right? And it should change because the people making the money don't deserve the money, in my opinion. You know, and I think that it's a very easy way to put more money back, not just through the sale, but through the event side.
Yes, I'm helping out.
Can I ask a follow-up to that? Do you think that that's, I mean, I like the idea of changing around ticketing, but do you think that that is possible with these big ticket conglomerates? I mean, Ticketmaster, they're gonna, I think implementing that maybe on a local level is possible, but don't you need the participation of the big players in the industry?
I think it depends, right? So again, that part of the industry is broken, and just like there's a broken part to music distribution, I think that if the industry can work around that, and people, if artists want to book directly with venues and control the tickets, you can have digital tickets, right? Again, it may not be the biggest events to start, but it's a start. And I think the more that happens, the artists, if they're able to retain a larger percentage of what is getting paid for people to go see them, ultimately that should prevail. Well, it's again not an easy path. It may not happen overnight, but I think it's actually easier than the other problem.
When I like, organizing a panel is when the panelists are just asking themselves questions, so I can have a break. I love it. So I was saying, I'm supporting an artist, friend of mine, Francis Jockey, based in Brooklyn, and I can see the difficulty he has, whatever the talent he has, is to grow the fan base. So we talk about money, so now we know. So now the fan base that Mike was mentioning, Ryan, you have some technology to help us with that.
Yeah, and to Jim's point, it's really the focus should be about what can be done now. Rather, a lot of conversation in this space has to do with theory, and it's all these great ideas that hey, if we do this, like it changes everything, which is cool. But what we need to talk about is what is going on now. And when Mike's talking about rap, how it's a competitive sport, and what we look at Matter is that the fan bases of the social trends within Generation Z is that the way that they hold status amongst these online communities in which they have deep relationships with people that they have never met is that they hold status through showing support to artists. If you look at what Twitch has done in gaming, is that the live streaming has shown that there's a very viable way to make a living through maintaining personal relationships between yourself and your fans. And these personal relationships are about the communicating directly to them. So what we're launching first with Matter is we're launching an ability for artists to live stream like they're already doing through Instagram or even some on Twitch, so that they can engage this younger fan base that wants to hold this status by having a conversation with an artist. And the way that they promote this social status is through showing support, because they see the limited buying power they have now, they see that they are contributing to an artist because that artist then feels grateful for it. They then get called out by that artist in the live stream. That artist then tags them in something. And that's how you're now building a competitive sport, by building community. And it's that community, as we're talking about artists coming from the ground up, really as an independent, that community is what enables these artists to thrive. And you see a lot of the big artists today, even some of the younger ones, like if you go into the electronic scene, like Porter Robinson, is that these guys have super cult followings that follow them everywhere. But imagine now if you could go straight to where your fan base is, which if we go into the younger generations, all the kids are on their phones. And you just got to go to where your fans are so that they can. There we go. And it just needs to be that focus of what we can do today, and that's where we look at making it as simple as possible. When we're talking about making money off of cryptocurrency, the way we look at it is by the time we launch in the fall, we want an artist to be able to make about $15 in the first 5 minutes that they're on, because that's where they see that it's the repetitiveness of this process. That you start out with making $15 a week. That can, yeah. And it's the transfer of value between you and your fans, and it's the building of that relationship and the trust that I think will make this next generation of artists the most successful by embracing this early.
Yeah, I think what Radiohead was doing, even though it's Radiohead, but I think to have the fan fix the price. But there's a lot of bullshit happening with Radiohead. I agree, they're the king of marketing, especially the last piracy thing, which was not piracy, but anyways. Mike and Brent, you wanted to add something else?
What I was saying is, I look at it like how when Michael Jordan was playing basketball, how he played basketball, but a lot of his income came from all the stuff around basketball, the Gatorade, the Heinz commercials, yeah. So we use music. Okay, here's the music, but then we got a T-shirt to go along with this. We got a sun visor, we got a thing, and those fans with a blockchain can actually support you and know that it's authentic, because it came from you. You can track it to where it came from, where somebody else would just sell you a shirt with my name on it or somebody else's name on it, and they'd be like, well, I gotta, but the artist didn't benefit from it. Somebody else, Joe Blow, benefited from that. They can come to your, whatever platform that you're using on the blockchain and buy merchandise. They can go to concerts, they can download content, they can do everything, and they know it's all supporting you because it's coming through a blockchain.
I was just going to say, and I love how you stated it. In short, this is exciting times that we're in. We're talking about a transformation from the old to where we're ushering in the new. So it's really exciting just to see what blockchain and its implications can do. The whole landscape for entertainment overall with 5G, again, I got to speak on that as well. Artificial intelligence, these are some big buzzwords that are all going to disrupt what the future looks like. So in short, for me, it's exciting times, and this is why we have to do the furtherance of educating the artists and how they can connect, learn what their arsenals are to further connect with fans, and then again, monetize, because at the end of the day, that's the business. There's the difference between the hobby and the business. And so you have to be a master of the landscape that you're playing in.
Right. I'd like to finish the panel with, let's say, a projection for each of you. So, Mike, you can start on a more personal level with what's the update, the news, whatever.
Yeah. And, I would say a couple of things. The first thing is that the Golden State Warriors will be back next year. You got to conclude with that. That's real. Be excited. For me, and I'm gonna pass it over to Bila. I think one of the things that we kind of join forces to see what blockchain technology will be able to do with the hip hop industry, particularly the hip hop industry. We already know what the numbers are, and seeing the top drivers, whether it be rock and roll, EDM is in there, but we know the force and power of hip hop. And I always say that if music is the voice of today's generation, today that is hip hop. And so I think it becomes the trendsetter to get it right first in this genre of music, because from that it will replicate in all others. And I've been in the space long enough to know that the business model of what we've done here within hip hop, I've had people fly to Nashville to see how we can replicate that. I've had the privilege of being with Suge Knight when he had K-pop artists before Gangnam Style. And they're flying here before I'm actually understanding what K-pop is, but yet the power of the culture of the music has influence on a global level. So one of the things that I say to everybody that's in attendance with Be Legit that I'm really a fan of is that he's not coming in doing the investment side of riding the wave of, hey, this is the new thing in the blockchain space. He's actually getting in from the ground level, understanding it from the artist side, whether you're an indie artist coming up the food ranks to the establishment. You know, he's worked with the greats, the Tupacs. Okay, should I drop the mic when I say Tupac? I get an Obama moment to just hear how that sounds. So that's big, and so I really got to commend him for what he's doing in terms of really trying to be at the forefront. He just said it, he's going to be putting out his music, and he wants to leverage blockchain technology to further be a driver in the space.
So Brian, the news, coming things?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're gonna try to get the blockchain with the music going, collect all the data and sell all the analytics to other companies. Yeah. So you get it's more about, you know, you can sell records, but we're gonna sell some other things too. You know, just to raise the, yeah, it's a business. It's a business. That's what it is. So.
Ryan, an update about your company, something coming? Investors in the room?
Yeah, so we'll be launching our beta in the next few months, and we'll be doing a full launch in the fall. What I see as a prediction in it is I think in the next 3 years we'll see artists be able to increase their income by about 50% with utilizing direct fan-to-fan engagement opportunities like live streaming to increase because basically what I'm getting at is, as Be Legit pointed out, is that music is the perfect medium to drive traffic to a marketplace. And that's what matters, a platform that facilitates that and what we believe will become the most efficient marketplace in music in the world by enabling fans and artists to engage direct through sales of goods and services. And so, great things to come.
Lovely. Michelle, any news? You mentioned something coming, but I'll give you the mic a second time.
For sure. Well,
Please.
I think Hollywood is going to be different, and why I say that is because much like Ryan, I mean I am involved in something that's alive now. The Alluvio content fabric, something we work very hard on, is now being used for what are mainstream streaming services. And what I think this means, getting back to the just really insightful comments from all you folks coming from the creative side, is the fact that it really is technology that integrates together the possibilities of decentralization, obviously blockchains, but also AI with metadata to allow for the artist and the fan to be directly connected. And the reason I'm so inspired by this is because I think the savviness to adopt and use this is really there. So I'm very excited to see what happens.
Tatiana, so you came for 10 days. You told me that there's some other events you've been invited to. So what's the hottest thing you have to
I have a lot of action going on. So
I'll be here
for the Bitcoin 2019 conference next week, so that'll be fun. But I'm basically focusing on the Tatiana Show, Proof of Love. You guys should check it out. It's a really good show. It's really nice to change it up and not only talk about blockchain. But you know, we're currently fundraising for Token.fm, our music platform, and in general just evangelizing. So if you want to connect, find me after.
That's it? You said
I don't know, what else am I supposed to talk about?
Okay. No, just the news, things are coming. So James.
I'm incredibly excited about the blockchain space for every industry that we've touched on and others. You know, sticking with the broader concept, there's supposed to be media. We've talked about music. We've talked about movie a little bit. The game.
They were not here. Leo, Brad, I called them. I said, no, we don't understand what technology is. So we make money enough.
But we're going to see this in the game space. We're seeing a tremendous amount of activity. And you look at what's happening with the so-called crypto games and digital collectibles. Putting game economies on blockchain is going to be a very significant thing, and we're working with the company down in LA that Mythical Games that's coming out with a collectibles called Blind Ghost, and they're going to have a lot of celebrity integrate. So you see a lot of convergence of some of these different media properties and brands, and I think it's a really exciting space. I think there's going to be a lot of successes in the space, and while it's hard to make predictions, the one thing I can state with certainty is that all the companies that want to be successful need a good lawyer. So please give us a call.
You don't look like, James, digital advertising, where something also you could say about this industry, which is
yeah, it's big and getting bigger. I mean, there's more dollars going on digital than
yeah, but the blockchain, will you get more transparency, in this business, which is, I forgot to ask, and I wanted to mention that also.
So it's really interesting, and I think maybe Michelle touched on this earlier to a certain extent. There's some interesting, I'd say, basic infrastructure issues going on with blockchain and privacy, and I think we're working with some companies that are doing we're looking to do some very interesting things that haven't actually launched yet. Where the big problem we have with some of the big platforms is they know everything about you, and sometimes they get you relevant information, but some people don't want all of the the advertising and the marketing they get, and the data in the hands of certain companies, and the ability to effectively maintain privacy in some respects through private blockchains and integrating with public blockchains and maintaining your private data, but exposing what you want, when you want, to who you want, and having selective ability to have advertising tied in with that, I think is going to be a game changer. Again, not overnight, but I think that there's some interesting developments we'll see in that space.
I think that Mike wants to say something about the Golden State one last time.
Well, I'm going to pass on that and actually just say this as a closer and drop the mic. Yeah. One of the things, this is something in our last panel that Vincent had shared, and I'm going to remix this. One of the greatest, or big powers that I see blockchain technology having is the fact that it provides a consciousness to entertainment content. So whether you're in music, whether you're in television, any form of media, there's a consciousness now that it unfolds thanks to blockchain. And that's a power.
This is the point about...
Go, Michelle. We still have 2 minutes.
Everybody's tired, but this is the
No, who's tired?
This is the point about digital advertising. I just want to underscore the technology is here now to make it very much possible in a seamless, user-appealing way for users to directly control the data that they share via a crypto wallet with acknowledged sponsors, and to continue to collect aggregate data that we need for trending in a zero-knowledge way. And zero knowledge just means that data gets collected without other knowledge of the source, right? So with that in mind, I think this gets to what everybody was talking about when we said there is an interplay for government leadership here, because we're starting to see both the market opportunity and also a little bit of push from the government to make these things almost necessary. So stand by.
Cool. So I want to say one more time, I don't know if I told you that, but I love this panel, first of all. And you missed the question, can blockchain kill Hollywood? I think it was horrible. Thank you for not asking the question. And so now I'm going to give the mic to Pimo.
Thank you so much, Phil, and thanks so much to the panelists. I want everyone to give them a big applause. We did miss out on you giving a song, I realize.
Oh yeah, I didn't bring my guitar.
So you can't sing?
No, I mean, without a guitar, it seems like it would be kind of silly.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, we all missed out on that. Sorry about that. Maybe you'll send us a video of you singing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And obviously, thanks to everyone that came tonight. Would you guys like to do a rap for us?
No, I was already on the video.
I used to sing in the choir, so I could go with you guys. Orsini, all those stuff. I was speaking in German in church. It was horrible.
Mike, do you want to do a rap for us?
I was thinking about it, but then I thought, how about you do it? Can you do let's see.
Nah, I've never been a good imitator, unfortunately. Okay, anyway, so thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone coming. And hopefully we can have more blockchain music panels. I would love that. I would love to have a conference at some point, but if you guys are behind me, let's try and organise that. That'd be great. Also, we've got one pitch tonight, which is one of our panelists, Ryan. So if everyone wouldn't mind just moving into the audience, and Ryan's going to give us a 3-minute pitch on his business. Thank you.
You got the president mic if you want. No?
Which one's working? So yeah, guys, thank you for coming out tonight. I'll be brief in my comments here. What we've really seen is that depressingly little has changed within the digital music experience over the last decade, yet Generation Z's social habits have changed completely. We express ourselves visually, and we communicate with our friends through sending photos of the places we go, the clothes we wear, and the food we eat. Yet self-expression is totally absent within all music apps. Yet it's at the center of every app that we use outside of music on a daily basis. What we're doing at Matter is we're filling the void of self-expression within music. We're enabling communities to communicate, and we're enabling artists and fans to directly connect. Because Matter is a media platform that uses the medium of music to drive traffic to our community marketplace. Today, artists drive the most traffic where their streams are heard. Yet, artists do not make the majority of their money off of the selling of their music, nor the royalties that they collect from their songs. Artists make the majority of their money through selling products and experiences to their fan base around music. And what we're doing at Matter is we're engaging the artist's fan base within a community environment, so that artists can then build off of the artist and fan relationship to sell to their fan base directly. Within Matter, we've created technology that we believe will become the basis for how all digital media content creators will be paid. By using smart contracts and automatic revenue splits, we're enabling content creators to be paid more per stream, and we're enabling Matter to be profitable at scale. So guys, thank you for coming tonight, and welcome to the future of music. Welcome to Matter.
Thanks so much, Ryan. That was great. And okay, so now we've got like half an hour for networking, so go for it. Thanks.